Let's talk about The Substance.
Another weirdly art housey, entertaining movie
That's true.
as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Albeit with a bit more buzz than Strange Darling. So The Substance is a satirical body horror film written and directed by Coralie Fargeat. Sorry if I mispronounced that. It stars Demi Moore, Margeret, Qualley, and Dennis Quaid. The plot follows a fading...
It's Margeret Qualley.
Sorry. Demi Moore, Margeret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. And yeah, Coralie Fargeat or something. I don't know. She's French.
Fargeat.
When I watched this movie, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a French director. Like its content is very French extreme horror. Yeah, for sure.
The plot follows a fading celebrity played by Moore who uses a black market drug that temporarily creates a younger version of herself, played by Qualley, with unexpected side effects. So yeah, when they say body horror, it really is that. Before I watched this film, it was described as Cronenberg-esque, and yeah, I think that's pretty apt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Coralie says a lot of her influences, Carpenter, she said The Thing was a big influence, which you could obviously see. Cronenberg. Her vision is very strong, and she's really into horror. Yeah, I actually heard about this movie when it came out for MIFF, which for this year I didn't actually go watch any movies at MIFF.
Really?
Which is unusual.
That's unprecedented.
It's unprecedented. Yeah, I think I was quite busy with some shit at the time, and I didn't see anything that I immediately wanted to see. I guess there was no Park Chan-wook or Kim Ji-won this time around. There were a couple of Chinese movies I wanted to see, but I didn't end up going to see them. But anyway, The Substance was one, and I think I heard some people kind of talk about it. And I heard that it was very, very positively received. Demi Moore, she got a Best Actress something. I think it's Cannes, but
Fargeat won Best Screenplay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I think Moore is just getting a lot of recognition for being heavily committed to the role, which
would have been a really hard film for her to be in, I say, because the fading celebrity played by Moore, it is kind of like who she is, I guess, in reality, in real life. I mean, she's obviously very successful still, but she has been kind of out of the limelight for a while, and she is, by societal standards, pretty old for an actress, So, I feel like a lot of the issues tackled in this film is probably stuff that she thinks about a lot.
Well, she's 61 years old, so they made her younger in the movie. I mean, she's still pretty good looking for her age as well. So it's and they do it well. A lot of it is probably the cinematic eye and makeup, because the makeup team obviously did a smack bang job on this. Makeup and special effects, I guess.
I don't know much about the production, but I imagine a lot of the effects are practical in camera.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the body horror in this movie. It's very fun to watch. I enjoyed the horror elements a lot because this year I have been complaining a lot about the kind of the Blumhouse era of horror, where everything is very
low impact,
quite soft. I was complaining about that, so it was very fun to see a no holds bar body horror film and go all out there. There is liters of blood. Probably the most violent movie I've seen
from
this
very
year.
early on as well. Even hearing the premise, I did not expect, without going into major spoilers, the way that the younger version is created from Moore's character. It's really gruesome. And I didn't expect that, right from the get-go. And that kind of sets it up. And that's one of the softer things that happens in the course of the film. Really good stuff. You're right. It definitely doesn't hold back in terms of the body horror. It has a goal, and the goal is to gross people out as much as it can. And I think it does achieve. It's really funny, actually. When we went to watch this in the cinema, right? There was a lady sitting in front of us, kind of like an older Aussie lady, I think. And right at the start of the film, there's the imagery of an egg, right? Like a cracked egg, and then like a syringe going into the egg, right? And the lady in front of us kind of like chuckled at that, like that imagery.
Yeah.
But I think by the time the movie finished, she wasn't chuckling no more.
She was too much. It was too much. It's funny, your partner was telling me how this movie was being, I guess, spooked by the Drew Barrymore talk show.
Oh, yeah.
Which most of it is like kind of the audience that would not usually watch a horror movie. It'd be people that watch that, like, what's that? This is the end of us or something?
Oh, yeah, sure.
This is us? This is the end of us
ends
or something?
With us? It ends with us.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that's the kind of target audience that would usually watch the Drew Barrymore show. So it's quite interesting. Yeah, go watch this show because it makes sense because the themes are very like feminist. Yeah. And like,
it's about body dysmorphia.
Right? And it's obviously about like, beauty standards and whatnot. But I don't think any of the themes takes away from the movie. I think they're intertwined really well.
I think if anything, it enhances it. I think,
for sure.
Like the thing I like about this film is that there's a lot of scenes of Margeret Qualley's character, who is obviously the younger version of Moore's character, and she's like this kind of like aerobics TV personality, right? So there's like a lot of gratuitous shots of her doing her like
ass
routine,
shots.
So it's kind of like it's clever in a way that it puts the audience in the role as like the male gaze. Kind of like
it does.
So it almost makes the audience like a part of the problem, I guess, that Moore faces.
Yeah, it's true. So I guess it kind of challenges you in that sense because like you're obviously going to find that like pretty attractive to watch, and then you kind of think about it. Even when I was watching, it's like, I mean, she's got a good body, but it's also like, I feel a bit bad because isn't this movie kind of trying to make me feel bad about like enjoying it? But then it's just like, it's fine. It's a movie. But what I liked about this movie a lot is the editing. It's very frantic. The music is very like high octane, like electronic music. It's very anxiety inducing.
Right.
And there's a lot of like really funny shots and clever shots. I think Demi Moore said the most frightening scene of this movie is actually none of the violence. Is Dennis Quaid
eating the shrimp.
Yeah. And that scene is really grossly done. And it's really, his character, he's obviously like a stand-in for Harvey Weinstein.
Sure.
Because a character just calls him Harvey. He does a really fun job at portraying like a really slimy guy. Yeah, I think this movie was pretty well casted. The editing is really good. And I really enjoyed the body horror is where this movie does shine.
Yeah.
I really like Coralie's vision because after this movie, I was like, oh, what else has she done? And she did a movie for Shudder a few years ago called Revenge. It is also like maybe not as violent as this movie, but it's still like very high impact. Like there is a lot of blood in that movie as well. I really like this director's vision. I think my only criticism of this movie is that it's maybe just a little bit too long, I think. There could be some fat to chew off.
Okay.
Like, this movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think it's just a tad too long.
Okay.
Yeah. I could start, like, as much as I was enjoying this movie, I could actually start to feel it sort of like dragging on a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's when, like, I think there's a lot of shots of like Demi Moore going to get the substance, which we kind of establish, and you kind of see it over and over again as well. So yeah, but I would say that's pretty minor criticism as well.
Yeah, I think the ending, because it's so crazy, it probably pulls you back in, right? But yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah, like there's some parts in the midsection maybe, or the tail end of the second act that could be cut out, I guess. I really like the way that it tackles this issue as well. I think there's a scene in this film that I've genuinely felt bad for Demi Moore's character when she's trying to leave the house, but she keeps like seeing Margeret Qualley's character and she just finds it like it cripples her to the point where she can't even leave the house as her regular self. You genuinely feel bad for her. And that's for a film like this, where it is kind of like crazy at times, it is very impressive that you're still able to land these emotional beats. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I'm happy that like Coralie stuck with her vision, because it could easily have been watered down.
It wasn't produced by Blumhouse, Tavi, so...
Yeah, it was produced by Movie, which I used to have a subscription to, but I've had to cancel it because I'm poor and going to Japan.
Yeah.
So I partly funded this movie, I guess, but it's
thanks, Tavi.
yeah. No, it's all good. Yeah, that's right. Like it kind of harkens back to the era of when I was reading some articles about like people walking out of the theater and just walking out, like it kind of reminds me of the days when, like, you know, Takashi Miike would release a film, or, you know, Battle Royale came out, and then people walking out because it was too intense is kind of like a badge of honor.
That's making a comeback, Tavi.
Terrifier
3. I hear people are walking out of that.
Yeah. Did you, like, I think this movie is pretty violent, but I never really felt like I wanted to walk out.
It's violent, but it's also pretty gross. Like
it's gross.
Like you mentioned the shrimp thing. Some of the gross bits are not like overly violent.
Yeah.
There's a bit where she pulls like a chicken drumstick out of her belly button. I was like, oh yeah, don't like that.
Yeah.
So and that's just a mere taste of, of what's included in this film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of get it, but at the same time, like, you're there for it, right? You got to know what you're walking into.
I would say this film still, like, as violent as it still probably falls behind the sadness in terms of its graphic content.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's
definitely.
That's our meter for violence, I suppose. It doesn't hit quite Martyrs, like, it's definitely below Martyrs. Yeah, that's a pretty fucked up movie. But like, I do have a soft spot for like the French extreme horror. Like, obviously, High Tension was a pretty popular one.
Raw.
I watched this movie, Raw. Yeah. I haven't seen Titan yet. There's one I watched ages ago. I think it was called Inside. It's about like a pregnant lady who is being harassed by like a stalker, like a female stalker, claiming that it's her baby or something. That's a pretty fucked up movie as well. Yeah. No, I'm definitely down to see a lot more work from this director. And I just love her vision. I love her influences. And for all those, like, you know, people out there who say that women can't direct movies, it's just like, I mean, watch this fucking movie because it's really well directed. Yeah, it's great. And watch Revenge as well. Revenge is really cool. I actually really enjoyed that movie. There's one bit where you really have to suspend your disbelief with Revenge, but ultimately it's a pretty fun movie as well. So looking forward to watching more films from this director.
All right, let's move it along, shall we?